Welcome back to Fantasy Football in 5. This week will be our Week 13 Stardom Sit-Ems. Last week was Week 12.
So you haven't heard about our channel, hit the big red button below. Alright, so as always, we're going to start off with the quarterbacks for the Stardom Sit-Ems. So this week we have Matt Stafford, Phillip Rivers, and Kirk Cousins all as starts.
Now Kirk Cousins, he's been on a tear recently.
NC Player of the Month.
And if you have not picked him up in a league, and if he's available, start him and pick him up.
I did, he got me 29 points last week. Some sits, Tyrod Taylor, Blake Bortles, and Carson Palmer.
Now Blake Bortles, there were high expectations for him coming into this year, and he has not lived up to those, and I'd never start him again. Alright, so now a few running backs you need to start this week. We have Jordan Howard, Lamar Miller, and Tim Hightower.
And Jordan Howard was the first guy on the list because he has the best matchup for any running back this week, the 49ers. Okay, he's going to go off against them. Count on him this week.
And now a few running backs to sit. We have Jeremy Hill, Jay Ajayi, and Jonathan Stewart.
Now, Jeremy Hill is now the lead back in Cincinnati now that Gio Bernard is out for the season. But he's really struggled last week against the Ravens. Not guaranteed to have a very good run defense, but I still expect him to struggle this week. Alright, so for the wide receiver position, we have Stephon Diggs, Doug Baldwin, Jameson Carter, and Emmanuel Sanders.
Now, Stephon Diggs, he has lit up this season, and expect him coming off of that injury to come back and be productive once more.
Yeah. And some sits, Allen Robinson, Dez Bryant, Randall Cobb, and Brandon Cooks.
Dez Bryant. Now, yes, we have him as a sit, mainly because there's been a trend going on in Minnesota. Number one receivers get shut down there with Xavier Rhodes, and that's going to continue here.
Rhodes closed.
All right, now a few starts at the tight end spot. We have Kyle Rudolph, C.J. Fedorowicz, and Jimmy Graham.
The C.J. Fedorowicz has been off and on our team this year. We just picked him up again this week. But he has a really nice matchup against Green Bay this week, which I expect him to get a lot of production.
And now a few sits at tight end. We have Julius Thomas, Zach Ertz, and Jordan Reed.
Now, Jordan Reed is very questionable for this week, so you should be very cautious and sit him. Vernon Davis is a good pickup option if you have Jordan Reed and want to plug him in for that week. So, sit Jordan Reed. Alright, so some defenses to start this week. We have the Denver Broncos, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, and the bye week.
That's right, the bye week, because they're going to win, because the Cleveland Browns play the bye week.
That's right. That is right. That game is going to be 24-21. Bye week wins on a last-second field goal.
Definitely. Anyways, so talking about a real team now, the Denver Broncos, we said to start them mainly because they're going up against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville has been really bad this year.
And they have Blake Bortles on their team.
Ew.
Some sits, the Chiefs, the Arizona Cardinals, and the New York Giants.
Now, the Chiefs, they have a pretty tough matchup this week against the Atlanta Falcons, and the Atlanta Falcons have been really good offensively this year, and expect that to
Tore up the Cardinals last week, too.
Mm-hmm. Now for the most important position in football, kickers. So a few starts here. We have Sebastian Janikowski, my man, Will Lutz, and Dustin Hopkins.
Dustin Hopkins has really been kicking really well this season. He faces the Arizona Cardinals this week, which have a really good defense right now. So the Redskins, that's the team he plays for. They're going to put up a lot of points this week.
Now, a few sits. We have Steven Gostkowski, Mike Nugent, and Phil Dawson.
Now, Steven Gostkowski, you might think of him as an automatic start every week. Well, this season is a bit different. He really hasn't been kicking well, mainly because the Patriots offense just scores touchdowns all the freaking time.
That, and he's also been missing kicks this year.
Right, which is very uncharacteristic.
I picked him up in my league off the waiver wire.
And so, this week they play the Rams. I expect Tom Brady to go off for a lot of touchdowns this week, so sit Steven Gostkowski.
Alright, if you guys want to pick up from your waiver wire this week, we have Tyreek Hill, AP, and Jermaine Gresham.
AP is a name we haven't heard in a long time.
That's very true. He's been injured almost the whole year.
But if you're going into the playoffs and you're very confident in your team but need some help at the running back position, pick AP up. I did in a league where I'm in the playoffs already, and I need a running back too. So he might be able to help me weeks 15 and 16.
Now also, Jermaine Gresham, he's been on a tear recently in the Arizona Cardinals offense. He's gotten a lot of targets, and he's scored in 2 or 3 weeks straight.
Some drops, we have Allen Hurns, Jeremy Hill, and Gio Bernard.
Now, we already talked about Jeremy Hill and Gio Bernard, so obviously drop those guys if you can. And then you have Allen Hurns, who hasn't done anything this year. People expected him to have another decent year, but Blake Bortles throwing him the ball has just not worked out.
That's what bortling is, right? Throwing it to the other team. That was Fantasy Football 5, but thank you for watching. We deliver all your fantasy news in 5 minutes, so let's be honestly, who would want to watch a 30-minute video on this topic?
Amen.
This is our week 13 starting sim strategy video. We really hope you use it to your advantage.
Now our team, we won last week in a must-win situation, and this week, if we win, we'll get into 5th place in the playoffs, so guaranteed.
Courtesy of me winning this week, not him.
For once.